At the consume stage, you're looking to go through and target people who've recently purchased from you. There's a couple of different ways you can go through and do this. Custom audiences is going to be your cleanest way of going through and targeting a specific group. You can go through and do this a couple different ways. One is going to be using a customer list, and you can upload a list of phone numbers and emails and names, and Facebook will match that up against the particular accounts. This is a really good way to go through and do that, especially if you have offline order information. You could also go through and use a pixel as well too. If you can track which accounts have gone through and bought, you can then basically target that group. If you don't have any of that information, another way to go through and get at this group is potentially fans. Hopefully people who are fans or followers of your account. These are going to be people who hopefully bought from you and are interested at least in your product. When it comes to advocacy, same idea. You're looking at trying to get people who bought from you or potentially followers to go through and spread word of mouth about you. So you can go through and basically do the exact same thing as you would do for consume, but perhaps you're going to use a wider set of people, a wider list rather than just people who bought the last week, maybe people who bought the last year, for instance. And at the bond stage, you can again pretty much use the exact same settings. Maybe you want to go a bit wider and look at just people who follow your account, or perhaps you want to be more precise and just look at people who've actually gone through and bought, say in the last year or two. Congratulations, what we've just gone through and developed with this spreadsheet is a social media marketing strategy. It is a plan to go through and bring a large set of consumers who are potentially interested in your product or service, find out who is really interested, retarget them with information up until the point of purchase, and then hopefully get them to convert and become loyal customers, and then also tell their friends and family about your business too. This is a really precise way of going through and deliberately targeting so that you're not just blasting out ads to anybody on the internet and spending a whole bunch of money in the process. Being super precise and targeted is essential to reducing your wasted coverage. So take this spreadsheet, take it, make it your own. Download it, there's a link on Blackboard, there's a link down below, and iterate it, change it to be whatever's particularly appropriate for your client and the data you have access to and the ways you have of being able to track purchases. One of the common questions I get about the journey map is thinking about which stages are most relevant or most important to spend ad money on. That's going to be generally all the ones that lead up to purchase. Most of the time your client's going to care really about going through and getting sales. So if you think about it, these first 3 journey stages are really important to go through and make sure you've got ad spend probably the whole way through on. The first journey stage, really important to have ad spend on because of the fact you want to have a broad set of people, new customers, potentially seeing your content. The second thing is when you go through to evaluate and buy, you want to be focusing on the people who are most likely to go through and purchase. So the people who've interacted with your content at that earlier stage. You can only precisely target those people if you go through and do an ad spend. If you just do organic content, you can't target just that group. Another thing to think about is how long the journey length is going to be for your client. For some businesses, like buying a car or buying a house, is going to be super long because you're going to go through and potentially evaluate a bunch of different other options. With some smaller ticket items, things that are cheaper, things you already know the brand, right? You might be able to just see one ad and then go through and purchase. So it might be the case that you might be really successful with just putting up a single ad and having people see it and go through and purchase. That is totally okay as well too. I just want you to go through and explicate this longer process in case you have to go through and use it. By all means, if you can get one ad to go through and cause conversions, that is fantastic, and I totally encourage you to play with that and iterate around that. But test out a longer version as well too. It might be the case that perhaps a couple different ads could be more successful or might warm people up so that the likelihood of them actually responding positively to your purchase ad could be a bit higher. So just think about that as well. Finally, a more advanced technique is to go through and to create an ad with 2 different goals in mind. For instance, you might go through and create an ad that first is focused on basically trying to get people to bond with your company, get a whole bunch of likes, positive reactions, and comments about you. You then, in a second stage, take that exact same post and use it as the basis of an ad in the evaluation stage. The goal there being using all that social proof, the positive reaction your post has, as something that's going to help convince people who are new to your business to want to go through and maybe buy or at least think about buying your product more so than before. I hope you enjoyed going through and learning more about how to develop a good social media marketing strategy. Take this spreadsheet and start playing with it and thinking about how you can adapt it to your own particular client.